All right, today we are diving into a really fascinating book by Oliver Sacks, An Anthropologist on Mars. And we're going to explore one of the most counterintuitive ideas out there, this paradox that a disease might actually have a creative side.
Sacks kicks off his book with this quote, and honestly, it sets the stage perfectly. He's not just, listing off brain disorders. He's inviting us to step inside entire worlds of experience, worlds that totally challenge what we think of as normal.
And that leads us to the big, central question of his work. I mean, we're all taught to see disease as a bad thing, right? Something destructive that needs to be fixed. But Sacks just flips that idea on its head and asks us to think about something kind of radical. Could a disorder, in some weird way, actually be a source of creation?
And this is really the heart of Sacks's whole argument. He says that neurological conditions, even though they can be devastating, can actually force the nervous system to build completely new pathways. They can unlock hidden talents and create new ways of living that might never have happened otherwise. It's the ultimate paradox.
So how does he even begin to explore these worlds? Well, not like some detached scientist with a clipboard. He does it with this deep, profound empathy. He really tries to get inside the reality his patients have built for themselves. It's a journey into their world, not just a postcard from the outside.
So, let's get into the case study that actually gives the book its title. This is the incredible story of Temple Grandin, a woman with autism who became a world-renowned expert in animal science.
Temple herself said this. As a person with autism, she often felt like she was studying some strange alien species with bizarre customs, and that alien species was us, neurotypical people. She had to learn all the unwritten rules of social life intellectually, almost like a scientist analyzing a foreign culture from scratch.
You have to understand, her world as a child was just profoundly different. Her senses were in total overdrive. Sacks writes that she called her ears helpless microphones that were just blasting everything at full volume. She desperately wanted the comfort of a hug, but the actual feeling of being touched was terrifying. It was, as she put it, a world of unbridled chaos.
And the way her mind worked was on a whole other level. See, Temple doesn't think in abstract words like most of us do. She thinks entirely in pictures, super detailed, specific images. She calls her mind a videotape library where she can replay visual memories perfectly. So for her, the word dog doesn't just bring up some general idea of a dog, it triggers a whole slideshow of every single dog she's ever seen. And this very thing became her superpower, letting her literally see the world from an animal's point of view and spot design flaws in things like slaughterhouses that no one else would ever notice.
This unique way of thinking is what led to her most famous invention. She had this huge conflict, right? She craved calming pressure, but she was terrified of an unpredictable human hug. Then, one day at her aunt's ranch, she saw cattle being calmed down in a squeeze chute, and boom, light bulb moment. She realized she could build a version for herself, one where she was in total control.
But here's where the story gets truly mind-blowing. The machine didn't just calm her down. Temple found that when she used it, she could actually connect with her own emotions and, for the first time, start to feel empathy for other people. The very machine that was born from her feeling of isolation, paradoxically, became her bridge to connecting with humanity.
Temple's story is just incredible. But it's not a one-off. Sacks shows us that this kind of adaptive potential is a pattern. You see the same paradox pop up again in the life of a surgeon named Dr. Bennett.
Okay, so let's meet Dr. Bennett. He's a skilled surgeon in a small Canadian town. Oh, and he also has severe Tourette syndrome, a condition that causes involuntary movements and sounds called tics.
So outside of the operating room, Dr. Bennett's life is this whirlwind of compulsions. He's constantly darting around, touching things, letting out sudden vocal tics. His movements are sharp, convulsive, constant. And you're probably thinking, wait a second. How could a person like that possibly be a surgeon? Well, because in the operating room, something that can only be described as miraculous happens. The second he starts to operate, the tics just vanish completely. He becomes this figure of intense, laser-like focus. Sacks says his hands are absolutely steady, moving with incredible precision and grace. The one place that demands the most control is the one place where he finds perfect calm.
And this really gets to the core of how Dr. Bennett sees it. For him, Tourette's isn't some foreign invader he has to fight. It's just part of him. His identity wasn't defined by the disorder. It was built with it, shaping the very person he became.
So what in the world is going on here? How can a brain pull off these incredible feats of adaptation? Well, Sachs gives us a peek at the science behind it all.
You know, Sachs actually experienced a version of this himself. After a shoulder surgery left his dominant right arm totally useless for a while, this super right-handed guy had to learn to do everything with his left. And he talks about how awkward it was at first, but then, day by day, his brain just started rewiring itself. It forged new habits and skills all on its own.
And this amazing ability has a name: neuroplasticity. It's the brain's incredible talent for reorganizing itself. Think of it like a city's road network. If a main road gets blocked, the traffic has to find new side streets and back alleys to get where it's going. The brain does the same thing. When one path is damaged, it's forced to get creative and build new connections to get the job done.
So when you pull it all together, Sachs's stories are so much more than just cool medical case studies. They really offer this profound and deeply humane way of looking at each other.
Sachs uses this quote, and it just says it all, doesn't it? The diagnosis itself is just a tiny piece of the puzzle. The real story is the individual, their life, their personality, their world, and how this condition has woven itself into that story.
So the big takeaway here is this. Sachs is really pushing us to look past the labels, past autism or Tourette's, and to see the whole complete person. He wants us to appreciate the incredible ways that people, when faced with these huge challenges, build identities and worlds that aren't just functional, but are often filled with their own unique strengths and perspectives.
And that leaves us with one last really powerful question to think about. The stories of people like Temple Grandin and Dr. Bennett show us minds at work in ways that are, well, queerer than we can imagine. And it makes you wonder about the limits of your own perception. And maybe ask yourself, what amazing possibilities are still hidden in our own worlds?